Welcome to the Upside Podcast, powered by Upside Global and hosted by Julian Blinn, founder and CEO of Upside Global. The Upside Podcast is listened to weekly by over 6,000 sports and tech executives from all sports leagues and teams in the United States and around the world. Julian has been developing technologies for professional sports teams for over 10 years and has worked for major tech companies along with sports tech startups. In each episode, Julian interviews global leaders in sports to share knowledge on emerging technology in the sports industry and how these technologies can help improve the performance of individuals and organizations, both on and off the playing field. And now here's your host, Julian Blinn.
So today we have the honor to interview again Dr. Ron Dick, Associate Professor of Sports Marketing at Duquesne University in the School of Business. Ron, as many of you know, worked for 20 years in sports, including 15 years in the NBA with the Sixers and the Nets, and then 5 years in the NCAA. So welcome back to the show, Ron.
Thank you, Julian. Happy to be with you today.
Yeah, it's great to have you back as always. We have a lot to cover today. So first, in the NBA, one of the biggest stories was the gambling story that happened for the NBA. But now it looks like there's also a gambling scandal happening with the Guardians in the MLB. So what is the latest on that, and what do you think are the implications there?
Well, as I look at this, there's been a lot of discussion about it. The integrity of the game is threatening. Yeah. And in the NBA situation, Tim Donaghy, who from Philadelphia, went to Villanova, Cardinal O'Hara. He's the referee that went to jail, and they tried very much to isolate him and say he was a rogue referee that was all doing this by himself. And after he came out of jail, he said, this is just the tip of the iceberg, basically. Like you can say whatever you want, but I'm not alone. Right. Yeah. Today it's me, tomorrow it's going to be somebody else. And he looks like Nostradamus. We have all these other players involved. You don't want to hear certain letters here. You don't want to hear CIA, IRS, FBI. Mm-hmm. The FBI is very patient. They almost never lose. They're methodical. They don't pounce until they have something with real meat on the bones.
Yeah.
And the question I'd like to ask, who alerted the NBA and the MLB about this? Do you really believe these leagues want this negative publicity? They just want it to go away like it did with Ohtani.
Yeah.
And the people that are pushing for this, for the FBI to get involved, for the investigation, believe it or not, are DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, Caesars Sportsbook, and Bet365. They are the 5 largest companies that pay millions of dollars to have this association with the sports teams.
And do you think they're behind this to say you got to take care of it?
I know they're behind it because they're getting beat. When the house loses money, they want to know why, and they see money moving mysteriously toward prop bets in particular, not just over-unders.
Yeah.
In the case of Terry Rozier from Louisville and the Miami Heat making $26 million a year.
But what
he did was he told the bettors, don't bet on the overs. You can bet on a prop bet how many points a player is going to get, how many assists they're going to get, how many turnovers, how many rebounds. He said, bet all the unders, and then 7 minutes in, I'll grab my knee and pretend I'm injured.
Oh, okay.
All those unders came in. And when they saw, hundreds of thousands of dollars moving mysteriously, and then they track it again, the house is losing because it was fixed.
Yeah.
Right. And you're taking the integrity of the game away. Now, you mentioned the pitchers, Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz. They would bet on how fast the first pitch was going to be. Would it be a changeup or would it be a fastball? They would bet if I get up and count, you could bet per pitch. 0-2 count. Normally, you maybe as a pitcher, you make the hitter hit your pitch. Don't throw him a strike. Well, they both made sure they didn't throw a strike.
Yeah.
And people bet on that. Well, that's the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
And they're both really good pitchers. He makes $20 million over 5 years. Like, why are you in these rooms with these unsavory characters whacking up $200,000, and you make $20 million a year, or you make $26 million a year. It's just, and I've talked to people about it, and they're like, the greed. It's like drugs. When you move drugs around, it's like it's the lure of the easy money. That
Well,
if no one's going to catch us, it's a quick hitter. We'll make some money. And the same thing happened with Chauncey Billups. I mean, Chauncey Billups is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. He's Colorado, University of Colorado. He's an NBA champion with the Pistons in 2004. Like, it's really sad. Head coach, your estimated value, net worth is over $100 million, and you're playing cards with people that the dealer has special glasses that you can see through the cards what the person has. One guy lost $1.8 million in one night.
Wow.
And it's fixed. And then after the thing's over, the gambling's over, they meet him in a side room, and they kick him off a few bucks because it was he was a celebrity. I mean, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to put yourself at risk? I mean, you knew eventually you were going to probably get caught, but they don't see it that way.
Well, I mean,
Cleveland pitchers are never going to play another game.
Yeah.
No, but like Pete Rose, they're never going to play again.
But so to your point, right? Charles Barkley was on ESPN now, and he said, when you make this kind of money at Chauncey Billups as an NBA coach and the NBA players, why are you putting your career at risk for so little money compared to what you're making every year? Why do you think the big innovation?
It's chump change. I mean, it's nothing. It's peanuts.
Yeah.
I don't know. It must be the thrill of the chase. It must be I'm getting over on somebody. And I have other friends, like, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's a zero-sum game, meaning it's never enough. Yeah, well, that's greed. That's called greed. But, you sold your soul for nothing.
Yeah. Now,
so it's really unfortunate, and it's challenging the integrity of the game. And Damon Jones, he's also in on it. Another former NBA player who's an assistant coach. So they arrested 30 individuals, the FBI did. We only know the ones that are former NBA players that are playing, but there was 30 other people. I mean, this was a methodical investigation.
I mean, you're talking about tens of millions of dollars, apparently, right? The whole scam.
Well, we always, even back in the 80s and 90s, we were always afraid. Like, we always knew Vegas was a big, I'm not blaming Vegas, was a big city that didn't have any professional sports teams. And we knew it could grow, but there was that risk of, are we getting dangerously close to the betting thing?
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, before we talk about the other topic, which is the MLB World Series TV ratings, I wanted to get your take on the NBA and the standing. So I've got the standing in front of me. If you look at the Western Conference, the OKC is 12-1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I've got the Nuggets at 9-2. The Spurs are 8-3, and I think there's a really good chemistry there. And Wemby has been playing amazing. The Rockets are 7-3. That's surprising. The Lakers are 8-4. And then if you're looking at the Eastern Conference Final, the Pistons are number 1, 10-2. I was catching up an NBA team yesterday, and I said, I'm surprised that the Pistons are doing that well. And he said, well, there's a great coach, great chemistry with the younger guys, the veterans. It's not entirely surprising. And then the Knicks are 7-4, the Sixers 7-4, the Cavs are 8-5. So what is your take on how well some of those teams are doing? But on the other side, if you look at the Mavericks, right? The Mavericks are 3-9, and they just fired their GM. Part of it was the whole Luka trade last year. So
right.
So what is your take on? Are you surprised some of those teams are doing that well? And
it's still very early in the season. Anthony Davis not playing really hurt the GM that got fired.
Mm-hmm.
And they did have the first pick in the draft. I think they picked the right guy, right? And again, it's just too early. The Pistons, I mean, it just seems like yesterday they were not a very good team.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden they turned the corner. How's Cleveland doing? They had the best record in basketball last year.
They're 8-5 right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, these are all teams except for the Pistons that we thought would do pretty well.
The
So
Sixers, I mean, I wouldn't think the Sixers were going to do 7-4. That
yeah,
to me is a surprise.
yeah. Well, it
Right?
looks like they got a really good player, number 3 overall, right?
Oh man, he scored like over 40 points the first game as a rookie.
Yeah, he was quite a draft pick, and you team him up with a young Maxey, and
Yeah.
things are looking good there.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Embiid seems to be fading a little bit. You know, he's more of a role player now than maybe before. He's a very high paid role player,
Yeah,
but he's one injury away from sitting out games. He doesn't do back to backs, right?
yeah.
So yeah, good for the Sixers. It's time that team make the playoffs and do some damage.
And then what about Steph Curry, who scored over 40 points against the Spurs the other day? And now also Steph Curry just yesterday, they announced that he split, with Under Armour, right? He's been with Armour forever, and he split all of a sudden. So that's a big. That was a big news yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I did not know that. Are you hearing any reason why he did that?
I haven't looked into all the details, but maybe it's because I think he's trying to build his own shoe brand, and it was just time to part away. Maybe it was an issue with money as well. Who knows, right?
I don't think money is a problem in the Curry family.
Okay, so I don't know what the reason on the details, but it was a big news yesterday.
Okay.
So now let's move on to the MLB and tell me a bit more about the MLB World Series TV ratings.
Well, I mean, there's feelings that baseball was just for older people, and the younger people were bored by it. They've done some nice things with speeding the games up, not ending them. Putting a guy on second base during the regular season so you don't really kill the bullpens. The rating for Game 7, we have it now. Of course, you got a lot going on. You got Canada with Toronto, wonderful city, one of the biggest cities in North America. You got Los Angeles, second biggest city in the United States, and you have the entire Japanese community as a country was watching that game.
Yeah.
So Canada did 11.6 million viewers. Japan itself did 12 million viewers, and the United States had over 29 million views. So this was rivaling what maybe a Super Bowl would be. So if you have 100 million households roughly in the United States with 3.2 million people in each household, that's 325 million people. Usually 60 million households are watching the Super Bowl. And that still is the biggest. But baseball, really strong. The zenith point was 33.06 million, was at 11:45 at night. I mean, that game went late into the night. And, I mean, what an exciting game. And it really helped the viewership. One of the highest since 2007 for the World Series. But we have an announcement coming out of Japan. We have what is commonly called the Babe Ruth of Japan.
Really?
Just posted. His team posted him, meaning he can go to an MLB team, and you have to pay them a fee, his team, to get out of that contract. This is the nature of Japan and MLB.
Yeah.
And then he can sign with whoever.
So he's a new guy in Japan, a new player, you mean?
Yeah, this player's name is Murakami. Murakami. He is the Babe Ruth of Japan.
Is he better than Otani?
Sarahara Matsui was before him.
Yeah.
Obviously Ichiro in Seattle.
Yeah.
So are the Dodgers going to take him? Well, he's not overly athletic. He hits the ball a mile and he strikes out a lot. So he's really not an outfielder. He's more of a third baseman, first baseman. Well, first base is pretty locked up with the Dodgers for now.
Yeah.
With Freddie Freeman. And then they just picked up the option on Max Muncy. So I don't know that he's going to go to the Dodgers unless he wants to take a pay cut, which I'm going to assume he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So look for him to sign with the Yankees, the Red Sox, or somebody of that ilk would be my guess. But you got to love the hot stove league. I mean, we got free agency happening, possibly trades. Paul Skeens, unanimous winner of the Cy Young. Congratulations. But look for that guy to be a very interesting piece to leave Japan to come to MLB next year. Murakami.
Okay. Well, I'm not, my Japanese is not very good, so right. I trust you on that. So, now let's talk about the NFL. It's still early in the season, but and then this weekend we actually had there's a game between the Commanders and the Dolphins happening in Madrid at the Real Madrid Stadium, and I think that's probably part of the NFL European expansion strategy, right?
Right. Absolutely.
What is your take on the NFL? What do you think is standing
the
up?
NFL, I would be remiss if I wouldn't just mention the death of Paul Tagliabue.
Yes.
Paul Tagliabue was the commissioner of the MLB of the NFL after Pete Rozelle, who was a legendary commissioner. He was Tagliabue was the commissioner from 1989 to 2006. He looked a great growth in the NFL. We saw expansion, salary caps put in place, free agencies finally for the players, TV deals exploded, new buildings built throughout the league. The Rooney Rule was put in place where you must interview a minority candidate. Like all that happened during the growth of him. And of course, Roger Goodell followed him in 2006.
Yeah.
And, he is one of the most important figures in NFL history. But when you're asking about wins and losses, it looks like the Eagles 7-3 in the NFC East. Lions and Bears, Packers are doing pretty well. Out west, you got the Bucks.
Yeah.
You got in the South, you got the Bucks doing well, and then Seattle and the Rams in the East.
Yeah.
AFC, surprising Patriots.
Look at that, 9-2.
They hired one of their former players who had been the head coach of the Titans.
Yes.
And he's just getting it done. Bills are sitting there at 6-3. Steelers 5-4, but right smoking on their heels are the Ravens at 4-5. That division is wide open, the NFC North. The South, Colts really doing well. They also went to Europe and won a game after losing to the Steelers. Jags 5-4. And look at the West, the Broncos.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is quarterback, 8-2. Chargers 7-3, just beat the Steelers, and the Chefs are 5-4. So that is wide open, but it's getting to be exciting.
Yeah, that's great. Now let's talk about the NHL. There's some news going on with some games being played in Europe, correct?
Right. Yep. Yeah. So really trying to expand their brand into the NHL, which there's some really good teams in the northern part of Europe. Had the opportunity to go to Copenhagen, Denmark, Sweden, and next door neighbor, Norway.
Yeah.
And, hockey's big up there for obvious reasons. But our Pittsburgh Penguins are playing the Nashville Predators November 14th and 16th, and then flying home after that to get an opportunity to expand their brand into Europe. And that, to me, makes complete sense. The northern part of Europe is a real fertile area for growth. A little surprising, the Oilers only have 18 points. It looks like our team in Florida really does well. The Florida Panthers in Miami, and also Tampa Bay Lightning. They're both kind of middle of the pack right now. But again, it's early. So could this be finally the year Toronto does it? Some experts think so. Haven't won a championship in 59 years. So they're pretty due. Don't forget Winter Olympics. We're going to shut down the NHL this year, February 6th to the 22nd. And we're going to one of your neighbors in France. They're going to Italy. And they're going to play. Yes, the Winter Olympics will have hockey. Milan, Italy, and Cortina, Italy is where we will have all our players in the NHL playing with their respective companies, their countries.
Yeah, makes sense. Now let's talk about college. NCAA. So, what's the update as far as college football and then the college basketball season, which is about to start?
Well, with college football, we have two teams in the top 10 that have two losses. Notre Dame sitting there at 9-7-2. They have a big game against the top 25 team, number Pitt Panthers, both starting freshman quarterbacks. And Texas is number 10 with their 72. But Ohio State really doing well, undefeated. Indiana, Bloomington, undefeated. Texas A&M, undefeated. Alabama, Georgia with 1 loss. Texas Tech, Ole Miss, 1 loss. Oregon, 8-1. So that rounds out the top 10. But we've got the game day guys coming here and everything. The looked into another coach was just with a really big salary was let go. The one common denominator with all these big payouts to coaches that we want to get out from under them is their agent is usually a guy named Jimmy Sexton.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy claim to fame originally in the mid 80s was that he was the floor mate, not roommate, but floor mate of Reggie White at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. But he dabbled with Clarence Weatherspoon. He was his agent with the Sixers. That's where I met him. But he also does college football. And he's the one getting these guys the big, big contracts. Of course, Scott Boras is a feared agent in MLB. And Lee Steinberg was loosely based on his life with the movie Jerry Maguire from 29 years ago. So that's something that you'd want to have Jimmy Sexton represent you if you were a college football coach for sure. And then you're switching gears into college basketball. The BYU supposedly has the best player in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And his name is A.J. D-Y-B-A-N-T-S-A. Guy Bantsa. A.J. is probably going to be the top pick in the draft in 2026 in the NBA, but he plays for BYU. BYU is buying players left and right, and they should be a team that may end up going to the Final Four.
That's great. Now, one last item I wanted to discuss also. The MLS yesterday announced a shift in its competition calendar. So they are aligned with the league schedule with the world top soccer leagues in Europe, especially. So beginning the summer of 2027, the MLS will adopt a summer to spring season format, basically starting around August until June timeframe, making it one of the most significant development in the league history, right? So MLS is also continuing to work with the MLS Player Association to finalize the agreement, but I think it's a good news, right? Because before it was always an issue because the MLS was not in sync with the European leagues.
Right.
But I think it's a good thing that they actually align now with the European soccer leagues. I think it's
absolutely. So they're going to play from when to when?
Basically, in Europe, for example, they typically start in the summer, like August, up until June, right? They wrap up in June their seasons, right? So it's going to be aligned.
Okay. Now the only downside for the MLS is you're taking on the NBA and you're taking on hockey directly.
Yep.
And the early part of the NFL. That would be my only concern about that.
That's true.
But as far as getting and securing talent, which Europe's been known to be number one, right, with the Premier League, with soccer, that might help, right? Is that what you're thinking? If we mirror it and get it consistent, that could get better players in the MLS. And we could go from being the 10th or 15th best league in the world, the Major League Soccer, to top 5.
Top 5, I don't know. I think there's a lot of good leagues, right, in Europe. If you start with the Premier League, La Liga, Calcio, Liga, I'd say
also in South America. South
America as well. Although I don't
Brazil,
think that
Argentina.
I don't think they're as strong as the European leagues, the top ones.
No.
But I think the MLS definitely belongs in the top 10. I think it makes sense. And also, there's going to be a break, from what I understand, between December and January. In break of the MLS season. So which is not a bad. There's a break. It's called the Mercato in Europe. It's usually in end of December. They have like some trades happening around that time. But I think it's good news for the MLS, right? It's a good decision.
Yeah, definitely. That's news to me, and thanks for sharing that with us, because that does change things for sure.
Yeah, and a good point about overlapping with the other leagues, right? I think.
Well, could that help the WNBA? Could that help the MLB? So now they're not competing directly with those two other options for our entertainment dollar.
Yeah, 100%. So look, we are at the end of the podcast, but I wanted to thank you for your time as always. So it's great to have you on the show. So thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure, Julian. Have a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To access past episodes and other research, articles, and analysis of sports technology, please visit our website, theupside.us. Subscribe to the Upside newsletter and receive full access to our sports tech business letter and website. Royalty-free music is provided by ibaudio.com. The Upside podcast provides timely insights and interviews with global leaders in sports technology. Until next time, keep looking to the upside.